What's up, card fighters? Today I'm bringing a very special deck profile today. It is my personal deck, Giraffa, from the Megaconi clan. I took it to Bushiroad Spring Fest in Rosemont for teams yesterday. I did pretty well going 4-4. Not the greatest, not the best, but I'm still proud with how I did. My team overall, we got 4th place, so we are the 3rd runner-up out of 22 teams for the event. So let's go ahead and get things started. For my trigger lineup, I decided to go super aggressive with Giraffa at the tournament. I'm doing 11 crits, 1 over trigger, and 4 heal guardians. I'm running 3 of the critical triggers that run to so to draw a card at GB1, 4 stride fighter crits, 4 crit sentinels, the 1 over trigger, 4 heal guardians, and the Giraffa starter. And that is my lineup for triggers. The starter is very solid. I will explain why for those of you who don't know later on. So for my grade 1 lineup, I'm running 3 Pupa Mutant Giraffa, 3 Elite Mutant Trigo, 3 Mutant Gentleman High Class Moth, and 4 Brilliant Blisters, 2 OG ones, and 2 of the brand new ones that we just got. The reason why I ran this lineup is because the grade 1 Giraffa is nice. It's a great tech for the chain ride. Place on Vanguard Circle, discard a normal unit from your hand, and search your deck for a Giraffa unit with the same grade as the card discarded. So very nice for deck thinning. It has a rearguard skill where when it's placed on rearguard, Soul Blast 2, draw a card. That cost is reduced by 1 for every rested rearguard in its column. So if there are 2, it's just on call draw. Trigo lets you check the top 5 cards of your deck when there is a unit on your opponent's side of the field at rest at the beginning of the ride phase. So it helps you find Giraffa parts and helps you get hand as well, along with ride targets or stride fighters. High Class Moth, rest, bottom deck a normal unit from your drop zone, countercharge, and a unit cannot intercept, which is fantastic because I had some games where that actually made a difference. And it counts as a grade 3 in deck, so you can call out with Gridora, and it becomes a 18k attacker or 18k booster. OG Brilliant Blister came in clutch for 2 games. What he does is, when he's placed in the Guardian Circle, my opponent's Vanguard cannot restand. So if they have a restanding Vanguard, it's not going to restand to come at me again, which helps save hand presence. New Brilliant Blister is great for aggression, along with keeping hand and being a perfect hand trap. If my opponent has all rested rearguards in the back row, at the end of turn, it could bounce itself back. If it bounces itself back, if I have 6 or less cards in my hand, I can Soul Blast 1 to draw a card. So in the early game, I can call him to the board, attack with everything. At the end of turn, bounce him back to my hand. If I have less than 6, Soul Blast 1, draw a card. So that way I keep hand presence and my board is still in a good state. And also Brilliant Blister's second effect, when it's placed on the Guardian Circle, if your opponent's Vanguard is at rest, choose one of your opponent's rearguards, force rested, and for the rest of this turn, it cannot stand. So it's great to slow down multi-attackers or just stop a very strong attack. So it's very good to strong multi-attackers. On top of that, if they swing with their Vanguard and they have one standing rearguard, you can just rest that last rearguard and then just stop them completely in their tracks. Other than that, that's my grade 1 lineup. I'm very happy with it. For my grade 2 lineup, I am running 3 Elite Mutant Giraffas, 1 OG one, and 2 of the brand new ones that we got from the B clan selection. 4 A-Rank Mutant Guard Giraffa, 2 Mega Lancer, and last but not least, 4 Machining Armor Beetle. So the reason why I run the 1 OG Giraffa is because it is a 10k body when it is on Vanguard Circle, and if you have the grade 1 in Soul, it makes it harder for Excel and Protect decks to hit you and forces them to use more resources. The new grade 2 Giraffa is just a fantastic card. Stops intercepts, they cannot move their columns, and it gets bigger for the number of rested rearguards they have, with a chance to draw a card. Guard Giraffa is a fantastic card for the deck. It's at a 4-up for a reason. So his skill is on Rearguard Circle, Counterblast 1. If you have a Giraffa Vanguard, rest one of your opponent's rearguard, and it gets 2,000 power. Not that good. Rarely comes up. The reason why Guard Giraffa is at 4 and the grade 1 Giraffa is at 3 is very simple, in my opinion. If you have the Giraffa starter on Vanguard, and when you draw into him, you can send Guard Giraffa from hand to your graveyard as an act to superior ride Pupa Mutant Giraffa. Larva Giraffa's skill is, when Pupa Mutant Giraffa rides on top of him, you get to search your deck for Elite Mutant Giraffa, which guarantees me my chain ride, along with the fact that now, if I have a grade 3 I don't want in my hand, I can discard it and grab Evil Armor General Giraffa from the deck. On top of that, once I ride the OG Grade 2 on the Vanguard Circle, it will see the new Grade 1 Pupa Mutant Giraffa in Soul, which will guarantee its 1,000 buffs to become a 10k body that 9k units have to work harder to get over. Mega Lancer is still a good card. I'm only running at 2 because I really couldn't afford to put in a third copy of it. So that way he can keep on the offense getting slightly bigger for every rest of rearguard they have, and then I can move a rearguard into the Soul to completely lock them out of intercepting, which is still a very great mechanic for him. Armor Beetle is a fantastic card. I cannot praise Bushiro for putting him the way he is. On Rearguard Circle, rest one of your rearguards. He gets 6,000 power. Choose one of your opponent's rearguards. Force Rest and stun it. That's just so great in the early game, especially with Trigal. Because if your opponent has a rearguard in the early game, like they did a skill, they attacked with that, you use Armor Beetle to Force Rest Trigal, rest that unit, and stun it. Now Trigal is going to activate to check the top 5 for Giraffa pieces, then wait until Strying and all that. So again, I cannot praise Bushiro enough for making Armor Beetle the way he is. It works fantastic with this deck. And for machining Armor Beetle's second effect, Continuous Rearguard Circle. If this unit is rest, all your opponent's rearguards in the same column as him lose intercept and boost and cannot gain those skills. My grade 3 lineup, pretty simple. 4 Evil Armor General Giraffas and 3 Master Beetle. With Giraffa, he is a search target for Trigal, as Giraffa is in his card name. And then he's got a fantastic Vanguard skill. On attack, Counterblast 1, eat up one of your rearguards into the Soul. Your opponent calls 2 cards from hand at rest. They are stunned, and their auto effects do not activate, which helps great to proc the Trigal's top 5 searches and help deck thin. Also, it punishes your opponent if they try and rush you and they have very little hand. So you can just weaken their hand and keep the aggression on. His other skill is he gets 5,000 power for every Giraffa in your Soul with a different card name. So if he is your first grade 3 ride, he is plus 15,000 if you have the chain ride intact. So not only is he calling cards from hand, but he is swinging 27,000 by himself. You can make him 32,000 if you call another copy of him to Rearguard Circle and put him into the Soul. Just a fantastic card overall. I'm so glad Giraffa finally has some really good pressure in premium thanks to the clan selection. Master Beetle, let's get right to you. This card is fantastic for any Mega Colony deck in the game. If your opponent rushes you, he is a great counter card. He gets drive for every 3 rested rearguard that is on the board. So Counterblast 1 discard, and he'll get +1 drive. If your opponent has 5 rested rearguards and you have 1 rested rearguard, he's going to get 2 drives. So if you rush him, you can get a max of 5 drive checks if it's a full board of 5 and 5. What makes him even better is Vanguard and Rearguard skill is Counterblast 1 to choose up to 2 of your opponent's rearguards, Force Rest, and stun them. If he's on the Vanguard Circle, he absorbs their power and he gets bigger himself. That skill is so important because now you can go into an Overwhelm turn and you could, for example, draw 1 and get drive +1 if they have standing units. Then use Master Beetle skill to Force Rest and stun them. So now Overwhelm has drive and crit. But now Overwhelm has drive and crit while you're stunning the rearguards along with Armor Beetle assisting. But if you are losing in hand advantage, but you want more draw and they have standing units, you use Master Beetle and Armor Beetle to rest all their remaining standing units and use Overwhelm to draw you more. So he's just fantastic. Helps keep the Overwhelm game going. So my G-Zone consists of 4 Gridoras, 3 Overwhelms, 1 Lawless, one of our 2020 Premium Collection Stride, her name slips my mind, 1 Zoa, 1 Tyrantus, 2 Featherwalls, 1 Coldburn, 1 Grisfort, and 1 Relish Lady. Our 1 Stride from the 2020 Premium Collection is just mainly a flip target. I couldn't think of anything else to put in her slot. I probably could have put a second Lawless in, but in all honesty, I was just too lazy to do it. I'll be straightforward with you. I never Zoa'd yesterday at the team event. Never got to drop GBA. Games didn't go long enough. I mainly Gridora'd. I did Overwhelm once. Gridora's is still a fantastic stride. But Overwhelm can do so much, as I said, with the Armor Beetle and Master Beetle lineup. It's just free advantage and all that. This is the lineup that I prefer. So Gridora works fantastic with just Mega Colony in general. but she also helps the grade 1 Trigo I was talking about that checks top 5. Because Trigo needs to see a rested unit, not a rear guard. So when you go into Ghidorah and you stun just the Vanguard, for example, if they have nobody else on board, you will still get the top 5 search off of Trigo to help you get more advantage. And then calling a grade 3 from deck for extra pressure and all that on her turn, just still a fantastic card. Overwhelm still great. Great draw power, potential crit and drive if the requirements are met. GB3 skill gives all your units plus 2k for every face down card they have in the G zone. It's just good pressure. Lawless is still a great card. Counterblast 2, GB2, discard 1. Your opponent can't call in general. That's great because then you can follow up with a Mass Beetle and an Armor Beetle to force rest and stun 3 of their rear guards while on a Lawless turn. So, still a good combo. Our premium collection 2020 Stride, it's just flip fodder. I don't go into it. I wish it would have been a lot better than what it does, in my honest opinion. I tried hard to defend that card. Zoa's a great win con at times, but because shield value and G Guardians are just still much bigger than when Zoa first came out, I don't go into him as much anymore. Tyrantus is GB8 is just a great another win con for the game. If you're facing a deck that needs a lot of units on the board, slap him down, the game should end hopefully on that turn. But I got 2 Feather Walls in there just in case if her requirement is met. It's just a 25k shield. So depending on how the game's going, could be a great drop. I got the Crit Elemental G-Guard in there because it gets 5k for every 2 cards in my opponent's hand. And depending on how big their hand can get, can be a lot bigger shield value than anything in the G zone right now. Griseford is still a good G-Guard. When your opponent Vanguard attacks your Vanguard, on guard, counterblast 1, and rest their back row. Sometimes they may have really, really strong boosters, or cards you just don't want to have boosting their rear guards in the back row. So you rest them, and she will get 5,000 shield for every 2 units at rest. So, not that good, but the interruption on rest in the back row, depending on the game state, can still come into great situations. And then Relish Lady, I love her. I wish she had more to offer. But just making your opponent rest 2 rear guards, and if they don't, you get to draw a soul charge and counter charge so you get your resources back. It's a really good card. Really good card. I praise it every time I use it, and sometimes she helps me out of the situations. And that's it for the G Zone. Pretty standard G Zone from Econi. Still one of my most favorite clans in the whole game, and I'm glad that it did perform well for me. So that is it for the Giraffa deck profile for Bushiroad Springfest in 2022. Hopefully I can start doing more deck profiles of other ideas that I'm having with Meg Colony and all the new support coming out. If you have any questions about deck profile or anything like that, leave a comment below. Other than that, like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, card fighters, be safe out there.